Williams, if you raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I did.
Thank you.
So you're not saying what I said, and now you're arguing with me.
Tonight, it's the Phoenix police chief like you've never seen her before, on camera and under oath. She's facing questions about how long some officers were able to keep their lies, crimes, and misconduct a secret. This week, Chief Jerry Williams unexpectedly announced she's retiring this summer.
But the rare footage you're about to see shows another example of the systemic problem she'll leave behind. Here's ABC 15 Chief Investigator Dave Biscobin.
The video is of Chief Jerry Williams being deposed in a lawsuit, and the lawsuit is uncovering issues that reach far beyond just this one case. It shows that police have routinely sat on misconduct files, usually for months, sometimes a year or more, without notifying defendants. That means there are people out there who did not get fair trials. How many? We don't know, but the person in this case is one of them.
Chief Williams, do you know anything about my client, Francis Salazar?
Do I know anything about who and who?
That's Chief Jerry Williams in a remote deposition October 27th last year. The quote, "who and who," is Francis Salazar, a Phoenix woman unjustly sent to prison for almost 2 years because past lies from this dishonest Phoenix cop were never turned over in her case.
So my client, her name's Francis Salazar. She's the one that's brought this constitutional claim against the city of Phoenix and against you. Do you know anything about her generally?
No, other than she's suing me.
And Francis's lawsuit is significant, so let's start at the beginning.
Good afternoon, Chief Williams.
Good afternoon.
You're going to hear, but not see, other people besides the chief.
Objection made.
Either the city's attorney objecting, but mostly the attorneys for Francis.
When I say Brady, just generally, do you know what I'm referring to?
I do. People or individual officers who have been placed on a list due to honesty, integrity, bias, moral turpitude, excessive force, conviction of crimes or committing crimes.
This case is all about Brady lists. They track officers with the problems you just heard from the chief. In 1963, the Supreme Court in Brady v. Maryland ruled that police and prosecutors cannot hide exculpatory evidence. That means officials have to disclose that negative information about officers.
It should be turned over in a timely fashion. I trust my employees to turn it over in a timely fashion.
So how timely has Phoenix been? Well, you're about to see.
Can you see that document in front of you, Chief Williams?
I did.
It's an expert report analyzing a decade of officers placed on the Brady list. It shows Phoenix waited hundreds of days on average to report those officers to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. Here's the breakdown. 10 years of data, 112 Brady cases. On average, it took 476 days from the date of an allegation against an officer to when they were finally put on the Brady list. Now, if you think it's unfair to put an officer on the Brady list before an internal investigation is over, fair enough. But it still took the city 200 days on average to report those officers for the list after their investigation was finished.
So this is your person's opinion, and I see the number that's written.
Francis's lawyer again tries to pin the chief down and ask if that's acceptable.
They came to you and said, Chief Williams, it's taking on average 200 days for a Brady report that's finalized to get 10 CAO. What would you say to that?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence. Speculation, foundation, vague.
So we're not talking about that as being a factual case. My employees have not come to me. We are looking at a report that's the opinion of an individual that you all hired. Again, this is the first time I've seen this report.
Again, 200 days on average for Phoenix to report officers for the Brady list. And that's after knowing they lied, committed a crime, or did something else to harm their credibility. So how many people accepted a plea or went to trial after arrests from all of those officers during all of those delays? The answer could be a legal nightmare, and right now no one knows. But we do know Francis Salazar was one of them. She spent 22 months in prison for alleged drug possession. The conviction based solely on the testimony of Officer Anthony Armour.
I confronted her.
No body camera, no drug tests, just his word. And just listen to the prosecutor's closing arguments.
Have an officer who got on the stand and told you, I confronted her and she said, I'll take responsibility for her. For it. That's it. End of inquiry.
The judge would eventually toss out Francis's conviction because the court didn't know Armour was a documented liar. His past lies were never disclosed, even though the year before Francis's trial, he falsely arrested another woman and lied about it. Here's a timeline. November 2015, Armour accused of lying about an arrest. 6 months later, April 2016, Phoenix finished their investigation, confirmed he lied. Then 105 days later, in August 2016, Francis went to trial. Armour still not reported for the Brady list. He testified as if he had a perfect record.
So this report was created in April 27, 2016. MCAO didn't get it until December of 2016. Does that seem timely?
Objection, Foundation.
So in April of 2016, I wasn't the police chief. So I'm going to put that on record again. Someone else was the police chief. Again, I don't know how long it takes TSB to finalize the investigation and get the information to NCAO.
The department now says the delays are, quote, currently less than 30 days. But it didn't give a timeline or number of cases to support the figure. Before airing this report, we did a spot check of new Brady List additions, and one delay was more than a year. That's why we'll keep investigating.
Oh, I love you guys. Come here.
Because cases like Francis's do matter, even if her name doesn't mean much to the chief.
Chief Williams, do you know anything about my client, Francis Salazar?
Do I know anything about who and who?
So my client, her name's Francis Salazar. Do you know anything about her generally?
No, other than she's suing me.
Some important final context on this case. We've reported on it a lot, and it's important for many reasons. The city has paid very close attention. In fact, late last year, they even took us to court to try and get our raw reporting. Our attorneys argued it was a blatant attack on the First Amendment and retaliation for our coverage. Now, the city lost, wasting your tax dollars in the process. I'm investigator Dave Biscobing, ABC 15, Arizona.
Dave has spent years investigating problems with Arizona's Brady list. He is the only person to ever compile a comprehensive statewide list, and he's in the process of updating it right now. Dave's coverage on this issue continues next week. You can see all of his past reporting, plus our public database at abc15.com/Brady List.